Hello, how are you today? Well, I hope it's good. Now then, today, I think what we're going to do, we're going to draw a wood wizard. Now, a wood wizard is a wizard that takes care of the trees and plants and animals that live in a wood. Grand fellow he is indeed. I've had the pleasure of meeting this chap on more than one occasion with my good friend Merlin. And that was a few years ago. It was a few years ago now, thinking about it, where Merlin and I went on the quest for the sword, a scallywag. Now, I understand that you think it's a scallywag. There's no such sword. Well, now then, you see, this is where people jump to conclusions. Now, King Arthur. Now, I think we've probably all heard of King Arthur. Well, he used to live near me. Well, when I say near me, I'm going to get this right, because the last time I said this, I got into all sorts of trouble. He used to live in a part of the world near Glastonbury. Now, you know Glastonbury for the pop festival, of course. But we around here at these local parts, we know things are a bit different than that, a bit more. But I mean, I don't know. People have got various theories about King Arthur. Some say he wasn't even British. Well, that's just silly, that is, I think. But anyway, I digress. This is a wizard, and his name is Ignatius Pigeonflip. Now, I know, quite a name. Well, of course, everybody calls him Iggy, for short. Fine fellow. Now, like I said, I first met him when Merlin and I went on a quest for the great sword, a scallywag. Now, a scallywag, for those that don't know, was the rather highly strung brother to the sword Excalibur. Excalibur was the famous one, the sword of King Arthur. You know, like I said, he's the Knights of the Round Table. Now then, the thing is, this happens sometimes. Brothers get slightly agitated by their siblings' success. And that was no different between a scallywag and Excalibur. Now, Merlin thought it would be the perfect first sword for me to have, because I had to learn about swords, and it would be good therapy for a scallywag. Anyway, to cut to the chase, we went to Glastonbury, not actually far from the tour. I can't tell you exactly where we were, because it would be overrun with tourists before we know it, and we can't have that. Now then, this sword, a scallywag, was incredibly highly strung and temperamental, and actually a little bit jealous of his brother's success. The fact that nobody had seen Excalibur for many years, and he was thrown back into the lake, and as far as we know, still lives with the Lady of the Lake, who, by the way, is lovely. But that's another story for another day. But anyway, Excalibur, oh, the rows we had. He would not come out of his scabbard. He would sulk and scream and shout. I don't know. I don't know why Merlin introduced me to this crazy sword, because he literally was a crazy. And then I mean, next to useless in an actual fight situation, because he just wouldn't come out of the scabbard. Damn, nearly got me killed once or twice with his antics. But such is life. I still have him, actually. He just doesn't come out. He doesn't say a lot these days. He does sleep rather a lot since our last adventure. I dare say there'll be more. Merlin seems to think there will be. And Merlin has got an uncanny knack of knowing these things. When he would do it. I mean, he's several thousand years old to start with. And I don't exactly know how old he is. He won't tell me. And of course, when he was born, there was no such things as birth certificates or anything like that. And what's that? Oh yes, of course. No, sorry. Get back to the story. I was drawing this, putting the hair in on this wizard. Now, Iggy, as we call him, helped me out a lot with the nervous side of the scallywag. Which I actually did need some guidance because, like I said, I mean, 1 minute I'm sat in the back garden drinking a can of lager, sunning myself, as I did, on the patio, and along comes a wizard called Merlin, who announces he's moving in to my attic with his vulture, Genghis, like I said before, who is named after Genghis Khan. And it's not the sort of thing you expect on a Tuesday afternoon. I mean, it really isn't. But it happened, and we've got on rather well. I mean, I don't quite understand what's going on most of the time, but then, well, I never really did. But that's coming along. That's quite a good likeness, actually. It's got to be said. I know Diggy liked to have a selfie done. I mean, he claims to have invented the selfie, but I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. I sometimes wonder who actually did the first selfie. I expect somebody out there knows. If you do, you could let me know. It'd be quite useful information, wouldn't it? So to bring up at a party. Did you know? Because, oh yes, we all know people that like to do that, don't we? Oh yes, we do. Now, this is not much of a beard for this wizard, because he's only a few thousand years old, like Merlin. And he's a bit further down the order, because Merlin is a high wizard. This wizard that we're doing now, he's a bit lower down in the pecking order of the wizard guild. Oh yes, they have a guild. See, what people don't seem to understand, I know you've got your Harry Potter, who is marvellous, by the way. But there is a great number of wizards in the world. But unfortunately for us, they took a vow many years ago, and they can no longer interfere as much as they'd like to with what's going on in the world. Which is a shame, really, because we could do with them certainly at the moment. Because, I mean, I've been watching the news and I've been hearing some utter frightening stories. And, well, if there's any time in history we could do with the help of the Magic Kingdom, it's about now, I would have said, don't you? Now, as many people know me, I actually do live on the borderline, really. I mean, some people think I'm slightly mad, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. But we live where we live, and we make do. And it's not my fault that I was picked on by Merlin to be his friend. It just happens to be he was passing by, because that's what he does. You never quite know when he's going to turn up, or why, or how, or with whom. That's one of the wonderful things about him. They don't live in the same way we do. They don't work as such as we do. They don't need money as we do. They're very much like the sparrows and the blackbirds. They can just sit and watch the world, which is probably why they live to the age that they live to. Now, I don't know. I only know what Merlin has told me. And sometimes I find it a little bit, well, what can I say? Now, like I said, this chap, Iggy, or Ignatius, it's a grand name, isn't it? Is what they call a wood wizard. And consequently, over time, he has grown into well, not quite a tree, but he's taken on several of the characteristics of a tree, albeit still very pliable and able to move quite rapidly when he needs to. But you can see by his outfit that I think a lot of this is because he doesn't move for days on end. He just sits meditating, I think they call it. Yes, meditating. My father used to like sitting in his garden in the sun after he'd finished work. He particularly liked this time of year, and he'd go out in his garden. And he had a pond that was actually made, I don't know if many people did, well, quite a few people probably would have done, that was made out of an old bathtub. Yeah, that's right. They put a lump of cement in the plug hole and filled it up with water. And that had goldfish in it. And he had that for many years. Now I can remember the day we dug that out. That was quite a long time ago now, 20 years ago. That pond, that bathtub came out of the ground. And that was got out of the ground by my lovely neighbours and Sally, because it was quite heavy, being a metal bath. And we managed to drag it round to the other side of the garden. And I managed to get hold of a chap, like a sort of scrap type chap. And he was very interested in this bath, even though it had been sunk in the ground all those years. He seemed to think he was going to be able to do something with it, which fascinated me, but there we are. Yep. I didn't worry about that, I just wanted it gone. Anyway, as I said, it took 4 of us to move that bath. And I wasn't really lifting it, that was dragging it. And this chap turned up one night to pick this bath up. And he was a big man, all 6'5", 6'6". Big man. I would imagine he quite liked a hearty meal. And he picked this bath up with one hand and just strode off down the path with it. I've never been so embarrassed in my entire life. And then when he got to his flatbed truck there, it just flipped up onto the truck with a crash, and that was that. And he said, "Thank you very much," and he never saw him again. I know. Well, of course, the first thing I did the next day, I went straight down to the gym. Actually, I didn't. In fact, until now, I've never really given that much thought. But there we are. That's the history of the bath. Anyway, I put a bath, not a bath. What am I talking about? Getting sidetracked to get excited about this wizard. I put another bigger pond in with a waterfall initially, and I'm sort of terrible for this sort of thing. I can never just sort of be happy. I've got to sort of, let's do this or do that. Let's make it. Anyway, the next thing I did was, we've got a Christmas tree in our garden that was planted, many years ago. And it was a tiny Christmas tree that you'd have in your front room at Christmas time. And yes, underneath that I put a waterfall, and I put in a stream that went down to the pond. And I did this with the aid of a pump and a piece of hose that I fed underneath. A long roll of plastic, which was the basis of the stream. So I expect some of you actually that are listening to this, who have been on my Facebook page, would have seen film clips of that very stream and pond of which I speak. And we got a green wizard. Now, I would have thought he'd be green, wouldn't you? Because he lives, and after all, he is what I said he is. He is a wood wizard. Very, very good friends of the Druids. Most countries in the world would have the equivalent of an Iggy or two custodians of nature. Well, we all try and be these days, but of course it's getting harder because people do some horrible things to animals. But they will pay for that one day. My words. We can't have people behaving like that, can we? So there's a nice green face. And his hat is going to be, I think we're going to use the autumn colours for his hat. Because that would be nice, wouldn't it? So we could have some reds. Put some reds in. Now, I did actually sharpen some of these pencils today. So we've got to be a bit careful. Because I'll give you a tip about that. If you sharpen, in particular, these watercolour pencils, you'll find if you press too hard that they will just break off. So it's better to do it lightly, and then you can gradually build it up. Build up the colour. If you go over it a few times, you'll find it become darker. Probably as dark as you want it to be, which is just the job, isn't it? Yes, we did have an adventure going back to this sword business and away from the pond for a minute, because we ought to be back on this wizard thing, really, because that's, after all, why we're here. And I'm running out of time, as usual, because I had to waffle on, and I don't get enough of the drawing done. But anyway, the top and bottom of it, in the middle, and the two sides, was that the goblins who now live with me were in trouble, because where they lived, they were having a lot of trouble with giants. Now, giants can be a problem, but the vulnerable thing about giants is usually, if you go and have a chat with them, sit down and have a cup of tea, you can actually work things out, which is exactly what we did. But, Merlin had actually made me a rather fetching suit of armour, which incidentally I still have, and I might even do a picture of that sometime to show you what it looks like. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But it was all recycled tin cans. Now, you'd think they wouldn't be strong enough, wouldn't you? But of course, Merlin's a magician and a wizard, and he did a bit of that, magic stuff that they do. And he actually made that suit of armour out of old tin cans, because we were very conscious of recycle. So that was good. One or two of them, I gotta be honest with you, could have been washed slightly better than they were. Because there's nothing worse than putting on your suit of armour and facing a serious foe with baked beans dribbling on your feet. That is not a good look when you're trying to intimidate a giant. Anyway, top and bottom of it is we sat down with this giant and we had a cup of tea and a chat, and the goblins came along and we all sat down and we sorted it out. And the giant, very nice chap actually, as it turned out, now he's a very good friend. And once a year we go to his house. Well, when I say house, it's more like a castle to us. I mean, it's probably a house to him, but to us it's a castle. We go to his house once a year for a big, big party. And the very nice thing that he's done, because obviously being over 90 foot tall, when we go there, we're just, very dangerous actually when he's had a few, because he could quite easily stumble about a bit and stand on you, because we can't have that. Anyway, he put a lift, a hoist and a pulley on the side of his table, which is a big banqueting table that giants often have, because they do a lot of entertaining. They do a lot of entertaining. People don't see them very often because they tend to hide in plain sight. And the dark thing is with people is they're so busy rushing around with their everyday lives, they miss all the wonders of the world and never see what's really there. I was sat in my back garden a few years ago, one evening, drinking a nice cold Guinness, and I was visited by several bats. Now, I don't know if they didn't come up next door's roof. It's possible. No, not right next door. Next door down, I think it's probably 2 doors down. And they were great. But of course, they squeak. Well, that's what I was hearing, squeaks. But what in actual fact is going on, apparently, somebody told me, now I don't know if this is true, you'll probably know, because like I said, you've got to know lots of things, is that these chaps send out these squeaks, which bounce back to them. And that's how they know, because they haven't got very good eyesight, apparently, where things are. Yes, that's very much like our radar. And marvellous injection, if you ask me. Or even invention injection. That's because I'm thinking about next week. I've got to have a blood test next week. They're gonna take some blood out of me to see if I'm all right still. I feel all right. Anyway, so it's not that injection, it's radar. And it bounces off a solid object, bounces back. You'll probably hear it in a submarine with a ping, the pinging sound. I believe that's what it is anyway. I don't know. I dare say there's experts out there that have put me right on that, because I know there are on my Facebook page. Quite useful actually having people that know it all. I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean it is just helpful, because I don't know very much at all really. And to have the odd chap or chapess that can chip in and feel the need to correct what you've done or said is marvellous, I think. You could be quite happily talking away to somebody about something. And if they think you made a mistake or said the wrong thing, they won't hesitate but to butt in and say, hang on a minute, Mark, you got that wrong. Which is good, because that saves blushes all round, doesn't it? Anyway, that's it, I think, for this little chap. I mean, I could finish him off, but you know the sort of thing we're talking about. Because we're up 30 minutes now. So I'm going to have to try and get a bit quicker at doing these. I think. Don't you? And I'll try and remember next time to get these stories straight. Because I'm getting a bit old now and my memory to go. And I've seen some rather strange things over the last few years with Merlin and the gang. That doesn't even mention what Edith, the head chicken, gets up to with her little lot. We haven't even begun the Chronicles of Mark Rowe. So that's something for you to look forward to, or not. And if it's not, then you could either watch these videos with the sound turned down, like I suggested the other day, or you could go away and have a cup of tea. Right then, you take care now, and I'll see you again soon.